So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this interview here that I had with Mr. Clogger and see if I can make any sense out of this. So we're only going to be able to hear his side of the conversation, which is really the only part that we needed. I will try to narrate the questions that I asked him as best as I can. I didn't get my audio in there, but that's okay. We got him. He's the main focus of this. Mr. Clogger, if you end up watching this on the VOD or whatever, or I'm going to put this on YouTube at some point, I apologize that I didn't get my audio in there, so it's going to be a little weird. But I'm going to go ahead and play it here. And I know we had like a couple of false starts. I tried to go ahead and start the interview, and then he was like, wow, you caught me totally off guard. Can we start over? And I'm like, yeah. And then I think my first questions were, where is he from? What part of Ireland is he from? And how old is he? So here we go.
Easiest way to say it is probably, well, easiest way to say it is like near Dublin, but like it's not near Dublin at all. It's like Galway, if you know the Ed Sheeran song, Galway. About 40 minutes from there. You go, out into the middle of nowhere, and that's pretty much where I am.
So I asked him specifically about the area of Roscommon because that's where he is from.
Roscommon is right, actually. Yeah, like that's like the region. Um, like a small village in Roscommon is where I'm from.
It is about this point where I ask him his age.
20, yeah, turned 20 there in November gone by.
And I don't know what caused me to ask him about this, but I asked him what the legal drinking age was uh, in Ireland, and it was 14. No, I asked him if it was 14, and we're gonna miss out on that. But I think he says 18.
The 21st.
Oh, that's when his birthday was, November 21st.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, 18, legally 18. Yeah, legally 18, but yeah, I was in, nightclubs only opened like a couple of weeks ago here in Ireland, and like I went in like because my first time since I've been home. I went in and it was like a fucking like crash. I saw ye when you were like about like learning your alphabet. But anyway, yeah, it's supposed to be 18. It's supposed to be 18.
Then I think about this time is whenever I asked him about the Grippos, if he cared about the Grippos at all.
Yeah, I'd nearly say that's it, like exactly, because I was gonna say like
Oh,
it's
he
really
he
on like
was
on is on not unreasonable.
he continued to elaborate a little bit more about the 18 drinking age. I mentioned something about how it was the legal drinking age here is 21, but a lot of people, and you guys know how it was when you were 18, 19, 20 years old, you wanted to drink, you had some friends that were 21, so they would go out and they would buy you alcohol. And it's illegal to do, of course, but to share alcohol with a minor. So this is when he elaborates a little bit more on that, as he felt like the age 21 was a little too high to be the legal drinking age.
Yeah, I'd nearly say that's it, like exactly, because I was gonna say like it's really on like on is on not unreasonable probably isn't the right word, but like unrealistic to expect people. I think but maybe it's just because I'm from here, but like to expect people to not drink until they're 21 is like crazy.
And that's,
I
I think he goes into it a little bit more here.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like what I had was like when I don't know, is this like common? I'd imagine it nearly is. Like when I was about like 16, like my dad kind of like gave me a drink. Because that's that's kind of like a gray area because you're actually technically allowed to do that. But anyway, he gave me a drink and he kind of was like, look, he it's kind of like this thing that like they'd want to be there for your first drink or for your, well, your for one of your first times drinking. So they can kind of like be like, hey, slow down, you shouldn't be having that much. Or not speed up, obviously, but like that kind of thing of making sure that you're ready for when you go drinking by yourself. It's not this thing that you're like being let off a chain and you just go crazy on it, you know what I mean?
And then I think it was about this time I apologized to him for turning this into a whole alcohol related interview.
This was yeah, like a 2 hour podcast on like alcoholism.
So that was pretty funny. But yeah, this is when he gets into the grippos. We talk about how spicy they were, how there's quite an after. I don't know. They're kind of sweet whenever you first try the grippos, but then afterwards they end up being a little spicy.
I did, and they are still somewhere. I had like a good like half of them. I'm sorry I didn't get them. No, they are hot, and that's what like they. It's like it's a weird like sweetness. Like they're kind of like a sweet, spicy thing. Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, because I did enjoy them. I'm sorry I didn't get to try them live. But that was just when I was in that weird gray area of being off.
So he did enjoy the grippos that I sent him. So that is good. And then he makes a little comment here. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, we'll work around them.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know what that was. But my next question that I asked him, let's see, what was the next thing? I'm just gonna let this play a little bit and see what it is that he's talking about.
Um, not quite plans. Like I'm not sure who would know, but up until about a week ago, I was in Canada. I have family over there who offered me a job. They have a company, like a Christmas like company over there. So I was over for like the Christmas months. I went over like late November, only came back there last week. So I was living with them over in Canada, like since November. Um, and then there is the prospect of something I'll have to decide if I want to go back in September, which is when their Christmas season starts up. And that's something that's on the cards, but like that's like a whole separate decision of like, do I go back to college and continue with the course? Because I took like a one gap year this year. Um, so the question is like, do you go back to college? Do you not? If you're not, you're going to go work in Ireland, Canada. You know, that whole rabbit hole of decision making.
So yeah, he hasn't been streaming in a while. Part of the reason why he hasn't been is because he's been in Canada for several months, and you just heard there his reasoning. He's got a family that lives there. I think I asked him what part of Canada, um,
Vancouver.
Vancouver, and then I don't know what this
Yeah,
is. Um,
it's like I think it's the furthest most mainland city on the west, I'd say.
yeah,
One of at least.
Vancouver is pretty far west. It's just north of Seattle. So he is all the way on the other end of the continent. So I was hoping he would be somewhere more centrally located if he does visit Canada or the United States again, so that he and I could get together and meet face to face. But it doesn't sound like that would be the case. But I think he addresses that here.
Yeah, no, it was something that like I did want to look into because there's, mainly I think you would know Mainly Vice, wouldn't you?
Main Vice, I do.
Maybe, yeah. So she lived in Toronto and it was something I did want to look into. It's kind of I don't know. I suppose for people from North America, it's kind of obvious, but I don't think Europeans might realize how big, it's like, Canada. It's like, okay, that, if I want to go from Vancouver to like Toronto, that's just moving within the country. No, you're moving three time zones and you're on a plane for 5 hours. So, uh,
Let's see.
yeah.
I asked him. I think this is when I started getting into his guitar. I know he plays guitar a little bit.
I am. I kind of wouldn't do it as I did actually buy a guitar when I was up from Canada,
I was asking him if he's practiced his guitar, if he's learned any new songs. I know he's a guitar player.
but I didn't, I kind of there's like three of us like in living in the one room, so like didn't give it as much time as I used to. I have like picked it up straight away since I got back, but I did take a bit of a like kind of a gap in practice for that couple of months.
Then I think I asked him what guitar he
Well,
purchased.
I have both actually. I started off it was like over the pandemic. It was just like I was like I want to learn how to play the guitar, so I just bought one and got a cheap acoustic first. And then I enjoyed playing that and I kind of got me like decently like I got the real bare minimum basics and then I wanted to move over to electric, so I bought an electric guitar that came with a cheap amp. The cheap amp is the important bit because I didn't like this the way it played at all. I only found out later that was because the amp was cheap. Um, I've heard it being said that like if you're buying it, like say you have a $500 budget or whatever for a guitar, spend 400 on the amp nearly and 100 on the guitar rather than the other way around because a bad amp will no matter what it is, would sound bad. And then I bought like a kind of fancier acoustic there last summer, then just to because I much preferred playing the acoustic. I mean, like there's a few like I mean, I know chords, like that's what I learned. I never really got into like that classical type of thing. So I would nearly call me say to myself that like I know all of the basic chords. So that kind of covers like a lot of songs that you can play like simply just by strumming kind of thing.
I think I asked him what songs can he play, or what songs does he like to play. So he just mentioned that he likes chords. He does seem to be a fan of classic rock. So he knows, I don't know, a lot of older groups. For someone who's quite a bit younger, he knows a lot of classic rock songs.
I know a few kind of like finger picky ones, like "Stairway to Heaven." There's that Green Day song, September. What's it called? "Wake Me Up When September Ends." Um, that one. Trying to think, just a few random bits. You kind of come across them on YouTube or whatever, and you just if you take a fit, you like I'm trying to learn the solo to Hotel California, and I've been doing that for about a year, and I'm not making much progress, but just random things.
Yeah, he is a good dude. And I tell you what, this interview is pretty long. I don't even think I'm halfway through it, so I may I may just end it here for now, and then I'll come back to it maybe next Thursday, because yeah, this continues on for quite a while, and I know this is a little weird, but um, this could probably stretch out for another 30, 45 minutes between me talking and him talking. There's quite a bit here, so I don't want to just drag this on for I know 10, 15 minutes, all that type of thing is about how long I like to leave the interviews, and this is, geez, it's still quite lengthy. So yeah, I'll just divide this up into parts. We'll call this part one. Next week will be part two. Next Thursday, I'll finish this up, and then we'll go from there. But yes, I am very thankful that he did this. This was a pleasure speaking with him. He is an amazing young fella, and I'm glad that he's back to streaming. I've always enjoyed his streams. Hilarious dude. I love it when he comes in the stream and jokes around. he makes me laugh harder than anybody. I don't know what it is about just hanging around him. I'm always in a great mood. It just I don't know. He's really funny. But anyway, yeah, we'll get to the rest of this next week, and we'll go from there. I'll turn this into two videos. Maybe on YouTube I'll put it all together in one long interview.